Hey everybody, Z Garcia here. Today I'm taking a look at a small card game called Paper World, which has a tremendously cool 3D front cover here. I don't know if you can discern that or not, but there's sort of a shadow box effect on it. Well, in this game, you are going to be collecting cards. You are going to be stacking those cards in a 3x3 grid in front of you, trying to get the highest score possible and achieve some little objectives along the way for an even higher score. Let me go ahead and show you what the game looks like, how it operates. We'll be right back after that, and I'll give you some final thoughts. Here we've got the game set up and ready to begin with 3 players. Each of them is going to get a starting card that they place face up in front of them. We've divided the deck of shuffled cards into 5 stacks face up, and then we've also selected 3 goals randomly from among all of the goal cards. These are double-sided, so you have a lot of different options. They do recommend when you first play, you play with the ones that have a little star, which are these 3. Those are the starting ones for your very first play. And so we can set the rest of them aside and we are ready to begin. The game is going to play over many rounds, and when we are down to only 2 of these 5 stacks, then the end game is triggered. Everyone gets 1 more turn and we'll figure out the score. You are going to get points for these stars you'll see on cards, you'll see on tokens, and also on the scissors token here. And you are going to lose points for every card you had to discard or chose to discard. And you'll see how that works in 1 second. The player's going to, on their turn, and we'll begin right here in the middle, you will be either taking cards or you will be placing cards. For both of those options, you need to decide first what kind of thing you are taking. So for example, I can choose all of a color and say I am taking all the black cards, and I would take both of these, and I have to take both. I could choose a number, and I could take, say, all the 2s or all the 4s, and those are basically your 2 options there. But the point being, when you are taking, you may not choose to partially take something. If I only want these 2 cards and I say 2s, I have to take this one as well. If you go above your hand size of 9, you have to discard down to 9, and you'll be keeping those cards face down in front of you somewhere because they will penalize you with victory points at the end of the game. And so I will go ahead and start. I will indeed say I'm taking 2s, and I will take all of these, revealing new things to my opponent, who now perhaps could say, I want to take black cards. And they will take these cards here like so, put that in their hand. We go to this player. Perhaps they say, I'll take blue, and they'll take these cards. It comes back to me here. And let's say I've already got these cards, and instead on my turn, I choose to play. So when you choose to play, you'll be dealing with the same limitation. You'll either be placing as much as you want to of one color or one number. The difference here being you're not compelled to play them all. If I choose black, I do not have to play all of these black cards. You begin with this card. You'll be building a 3x3 grid in front of you, and this card could end up anywhere in that grid. When you play a card, it has to be orthogonally adjacent to something previously placed, and the numbers have to go up. So I could play this 1, I could then play this 2, I could play this 3. I chose to play black, so even if I could play one of these 2 cards on a 1 of that color, I could not do so right now if this was already here, for example. I could not play this. I could have chosen, if the board looked like that, to play 2s, and then I could have chosen to play both of those cards. Now you'll notice some of the cards have that cutout right there with a pair of scissors. When you play one of these cards, you may take the scissors token. It'll go on that stack. You may not overbuild on that stack, but it will give you a bonus. Here's what the normal rule says about stacking in order. Like I said, you have to go up in order, but you're allowed to skip a number if you discard a card from your hand. So let's say I had no black 2s in my hand, and I wanted to play one of these 3s. I could skip, jumping from the 1, skipping the 2, and go to the 3, like so. But then I have to discard a card in my hand that goes to my discard pile, and again will penalize me for 1 point. However, if I have the scissors token, and now it's my turn, I could choose to skip once on my turn for free. I could make that jump having the scissors freely. And if you play the scissors on another card in front of you, you could move it even if this went to another one. And then again, you still keep benefiting from that bonus. What you cannot do is willingly give this token away. Somebody must take it from you, or you have to play a card that you choose to move it to when played. And this cannot be overbuilt, which is a small penalty you have to deal with. However, the token to whoever has it at the end will give 2 victory points. This will continue with the cards going up and up, the values, making it all the way up to 5. Let's see if we can spot one of these 5s in here somewhere. And you will also, after playing, so there's a 5 there. I'm obviously skipping numbers willy-nilly. At the end of a turn, you can check up here as well and see if you qualify for any of those bonuses. And the bonuses would be 3 stacks that show scissors, that show something like that. If you do that, then you'll get that token there, which is worth 4 victory points. The next player to do it only gets 2, and the third player in a 3-player game only gets 1 if they manage to do it. This one is a line that has values that equal 9, so a whole column, so a 2, a 3, and then a 4. That would do it if this looked like this. And then this is 3 in an L shape of the same color. It does not have to be that shape. If I manage to do this, L, in the same color, I would manage to do that. But again, there's a whole stack of different abilities there. You'll be checking those at the end of your turn. The game continues with the players again being able to build at most a 3x3 grid in front of them, down to 2 stacks here. Finish out that round and figure out your score. Count up all the stars, count up these, take away points for any cards you had to discard because you went above 9 or chose to discard to skip numbers. And then whoever has the highest score, of course, is the winner of the game. The very first thing that charmed me about this game, and I suspect this will be true for a lot of people, is the cover, right? That feel of stacking up paper. And I wonder how many folks are going to be disappointed when they discover that even though the game on the back describes it as you basically stacking up paper, that you're not really doing that. You are putting a card on top of another card, and there is no actual transparencies. Everything, of course, is a new illustration with those pieces stacked. I wonder how many people are a little disappointed by that when they finally dig the cards out of the box and see what the thing actually looks like. So as far as the gameplay goes, I think it's a neat game. I think it's a clever little card game. I enjoy the feel of having a very specific hand size. You cannot go over and then discard without penalty. That will penalize you. And the limitations of how you may take cards. You have to take all of one color, all of one number. You also have to play that way, but the more interesting part is how you have to take. You have to be careful you don't take too many all at once also, revealing quite a nice selection to the next player. It has a little bit of a feeling of Jaipur in that sense. Very well-known 2-player card game in which you want to be careful that the new flop, so to speak, isn't a bunch of new information for your opponents. So there is a little bit of that push and pull. As far as the scoring in this game, I do find it to be probably the least interesting part of the game. The fact that it's, the level 1 card is worth nothing, then the 2 is 1 star, then if you go from the 4 to the 5, that's a slightly bigger jump. Every card you burn, that's -1. The little bonuses even are not big swings. The whole thing has this sort of, at the end of the game, you're going to get this feel of like 14 to 13 to 11 points. And that feels a little anticlimactic maybe, especially when achieving the goals, they can still be done by the third player in a 3-player game. The one that just barely put it together at the end, they still get 1 point, whereas the person who maybe was shooting for first but just came below that didn't quite get first place. They got 2 points. So my point, no pun intended, being that the scores are a little bit squished, and it leads to a feel of, man, it's so lucky when the flop, I have a 5, I'll take that 5. You shouldn't ever pass on a 5, right? Because the scores are so small, and then that feel of, yeah, I'll do that, whatever. Once the first one's gone, I don't care if I'm second or third, I could do it literally the last turn. Now, the game moves along at a nice clip. It certainly does not outstay its welcome, and I enjoy that. And I enjoy the placement of everything. The 3x3 grid is neat. It ties to a lot of those objectives, Get something in an L formation. The 4 corners have to have something, the same number. And I like that. But unfortunately, there's been a lot of 3x3 games lately, and this one suffers in the comparison. So, for example, Castle Combo is another game that came out recently, another French game, actually, that came out recently, and I find it to be infinitely more interesting than this game without a whole lot more complication, actually. It sort of ticks every box a little more strongly. It's more interesting thematically. It's prettier, in my opinion. It's more engaging. It is not any longer, and it does the 3x3 thing tremendously clever, in a tremendously clever way. So I like this one. I just don't think it's a slam dunk, and I think it's one that if you want something very lighthearted, you want something that won't feel like it's exploring really any new area, because the one thing that feels new here is this idea of paper crafting and stacking, but that's literally cover thin, right? That's it. Like, it is just what you see right here. The game doesn't feel like that whatsoever. It's just you put a 1 on top of a 2 on top of a 3, and you can discard a card to skip the 4 and then put the 5. That's it. That's where you're getting that theme. It's not there. So if you don't mind that and you want something that's really easy to play, you can converse while you are playing it, then yeah, this might be a good one. It's colorful. It's got some neat ideas in it. The scissors token is cool. It's a clever idea. But there are other games out there, unfortunately, that right now and recently that do similar things and I think are more interesting things. So for me, this is one I'm happy to play, but I'm going to come down at a 6 on this one. Not quite the oomph I was hoping for, especially considering how neat the whole thing looks, and that it is quick and can play with just about anybody. I was hoping the gameplay would be a little more interesting. As it is, 6 out of 10. I still would be happy to play it. It's just not one I am going to be sort of carte blanche recommending to people. So there you go, everybody. That is Paper World. That's going to do it for me. My name is Z Garcia. I'll see you on the next one.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel. Thanks for watching this video. Check out our channel. We have a lot of videos on our channel. We have live videos that go up each week, from live Q&As to videos where we take a look at the newest stuff on Kickstarter, crowdsurfing, to top 10 lists and more. There's lots of stuff on this channel. We encourage you to explore it. You can find out more at our website, dicetower.com. I'm Tom Vasel. Thanks for watching another video on the Dice Tower.